Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for January 14th, 2013. It's currently 8:50 a.m. and we have some big changes on the way throughout the northern mid-Atlantic for this upcoming week, and it's starting today. Today is pretty much the warmest day of the next 7, and quite frankly, right now is probably the warmest it's going to be over the next couple of weeks. We're looking at temperatures right now in the lower to mid 40s, a few upper 40s over the northern interior here, upper 40s to mid 50s along the coast, and our temperatures are rising slowly under the influence of a lot of low clouds, a lot of fog, locally dense fog under a model in some locations, and a few scattered showers as a cold front starts to slowly move through the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. We can see a shift in the winds from the southwest and south to the northwest, and with these northwesterly winds, we'll see our temperatures stop rising and then slowly fall off through the 40s this afternoon and into the 30s this evening as much colder air starts to invade the northern mid-Atlantic. Slowly, but certainly on its way. Taking a look at the latest radar this morning, you can see scattered showers pretty much hanging on here. Not anything heavy in nature, of course, but certainly some wet roadways out there, and combine that with the fog could create some hazardous conditions on the roadways this morning. The big story here is what's happening once this cold front moves through. Let me show you what's going on with the weather pattern here. Here we have the infrared satellite picture, and you can see moisture starting to pool down here along the Gulf Coast, and you can see this cold front slowly move to the east. Now notice the northern portion of this cold front is starting to show signs of what's called stationary. And as this cold front moves further east, it's running up against this strong subtropical high pressure system here, and it's being pushed by this stronger polar/Arctic air here. How cold is the air behind this cold front? Well, further back, just past this cold front, moderately polar air. Here is where your Arctic air is, and you could see it by the way that this is an infrared satellite picture, so it's picking up temperatures, and this is the temperature of the ground. It's colder on the ground in the northern plains than it is in some of these higher cloud tops, so it kind of tells you it's pretty chilly out there in the northern plains. So we clearly have some very cold air just waiting to drive through towards the northern Atlantic, but it's going to take a little bit of time because our southeast ridge here is not going to give up its hold very easily. So when we take a look at the word vapor satellite picture, you can see this very nicely. When you have a cold front quickly move through and the Arctic air quickly following behind it, what you end up with is a northwesterly wind aloft. But what we have in place here is a southwesterly wind. So what that means is that while this cold front is moving through, you're going to see these little waves of low pressure developing along it and track basically from the Gulf Coast up towards the New Jersey coastal waters and then towards New England. Now this low pressure system track combined with cold air slowly bleeding in leads to the potential for, yes, snow, sleet, and rain. The problem here, and what I really need to stress here, is that while the model guidance will show 850 millibar temperatures below freezing in portions of, let's say, New York City and Philadelphia and northwestern New Jersey, you have to remember the boundary layer temperatures, the temperatures at the very surface for most locations, aside from a few valley locations in the Hudson River Valley and portions of northern Connecticut, are generally warm. We've been in the 40s and 50s for quite some time. And with those temperatures being as warm as they are, the surface is warm as well. So while there will be snow and sleet in the air, accumulation is going to be a bit harder to come by as we try to cool down our boundary layer, our surface conditions to support possibly a pattern that is going to be a bit more stormier and produce a bit more joy for all you snow lovers out there in the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. So let's take a look at the latest model guidance. I'm using the Canadian model guidance today because, one, it's pretty close to the forecast being seen on the European model guidance, and I could break it down in 6-hour increments to show you exactly how this pattern is setting up. So here we are. By this afternoon, our cold front is slowly pushing to the east. You could see that Stubborn southeast ridge slowly giving way, but the winds at the mid and upper levels continue from the southwest, which means this cold front is going to be slow to move. While it's doing so, look for a few scattered showers and skies to gradually clear later on this afternoon and into the evening hours as some drier air works in from the west. Overall, though, not a bad day. We'll see temperatures hold in the 40s and 50s and then fall into the 40s moving forward the rest of the afternoon. This evening, the cold front continues to drop south, but notice we're starting to see moisture pool over the southeast and over the Tennessee River Valley. We start to see that here with the precipitation. And here's a very weak area of low pressure and a stronger one in the Gulf of Mexico here. So as they lift north and east overnight and into tomorrow morning, you'll see some light precipitation, very light precipitation moving over, especially the Philadelphia metropolitan area and southern New Jersey. Again, notice the 850 millibar temperature is generally above freezing here, so I'm really looking at maybe rain, a little bit of sleet mixed in, not a big deal. Watch out for your roadways. It will be a little slick over central and southern New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania. To the north and west of Philadelphia, it will be colder, but your boundary layer temperatures are still going to be marginal. So you'll have a better potential of seeing a little bit of snow and sleet, but accumulations minor at worst, traced to an inch at most. And most locations, again, seeing wet roadways rather than white roadways. Going beyond that, here we are for the next area low pressure lifting north and east. Again, this is not a strong setup. It's just we're dealing with moisture trying to push up over this polar boundary as the southeast ridge tries to fight back here. So then by Wednesday morning, you can see this area low pressure lift north and east, head towards the North Carolina coast, bring up a little bit of moisture here. Again, everyone's picking up on the idea that, hey, 850 millibar temperatures are below freezing in Philadelphia and New York City, thus snow. However, we're going to be dealing with surface temperatures in the mid to upper 30s, so while there'll be snow in the air, I really can't support the idea of significant accumulation in this setup unless I saw a much colder signature showing up, and with the thickness line, 540, basically riding along New York City and north of Philadelphia, that tells me we're dealing with a marginal air mass at most. And this is not a very strong storm that could produce snow, for example, or produce its own cold air. So, but I think what we're dealing with here is a bit of a wintry mess on Wednesday morning over much of the Philadelphia metropolitan area. Not much in the way of accumulation, but you're going to see snow, sleet, rain, slick roadways, not very pleasant to drive out there on Wednesday morning and early Wednesday afternoon. For the New York City metropolitan area, and especially points north and west, like let's say northeastern Pennsylvania, northwestern New Jersey, the Hudson River Valley, and Connecticut, look for a trace to 2 inches of snow, possibly maybe 3 inches if you get an enhanced snow shower, a heavy snow shower over portions of northwestern Connecticut. And I'm pointing out those locations because they'll be colder, so it'll be easier to actually accumulate. The precipitation for the most part will be light though, and the bulk of the precipitation will be focused along the coast where it will be a bit warmer, and so accumulation totals possibly a trace, if that. Again, we're dealing with a warm ground here. So, I'm not really looking at a major storm here in any way, shape, or form. A bit of a nuisance and a bit of a calling card that, hey, colder air is on the way and a colder weather pattern is setting up. Moving beyond that point, once again, an Arctic cold front will bleed south and drive through the northern mid-Atlantic. So Thursday, we are basically slightly below normal. I'm looking at upper 30s to lower 40s for most of the region. I know the GFS Moss is warmer. I think those temperatures are a bit overdone, much like they were overdone throughout much of this weekend. So I'm not really buying into anything warmer than that at this point in the upper 30s to lower 40s. And then on Friday, here comes the Arctic air, and it's going to bleed in. It's going to blast in, should I say, Thursday night into Friday morning. And you're going to notice it in a big way with temperatures in the lower to mid 30s for most locations on Friday. And then we have to keep an eye on another Arctic front that will be diving south with a subtropical disturbance brewing off of the southeast coast. Right now, I think they're going to remain separated. You can see that with the high pressure system here. It really isn't going to be the right timing setup for any type of phase here. But again, with these type of systems and with this subtropical jet stream starting to get more active and their Arctic cold front driving south, we have to keep an eye on this low pressure system just in case. Again, I think that this is a bit overdone, but this is driven more because this cold air is very impressive dropping south, and it's being shown on the European, the GFS, almost all the models, the UK Met. Okay, and so you have to have a balance to that. So while I'm not surprised that temperatures rebound into the 40s, possibly even touching 48, 49 along the coast on Sunday afternoon, what comes thereafter will basically be about a 20-degree drop in your temperatures moving into Monday. So clearly we're dealing with a weather pattern that is evolving to something very interesting, especially for late January and February. And I talk about this in the premium discussions. Let me just show you what I was talking about here. This type of weather pattern here for the northern mid-Atlantic and really for all of the eastern United States is a calling card for, well, let me just say I'm going to need some more coffee moving forward for the rest of this winter if this configuration seen on the European and the GFS model guidance sets up with a wind flow or a wind pattern that basically takes Arctic air and drives it right into the central and eastern United States. So interesting times are ahead. That is your forecast discussion for today. Of course, I just want to remind you very quickly that we will be having a winter weather workshop, the second one, on January 19th. That's this Saturday in Homeville, Pennsylvania. You can see the address right here. It's between 9:30 and 11 a.m. $20 in advance, $30 at the door. And we're going to be taking questions from you. We're going to be having presentations about the rest of the winter. I'm going to do a presentation on the Pacific Decadal Oscillation and what it means for you and me moving forward for the winter, for the rest of the winter and also the spring. And also we're going to talk about the spring outlook and again take your questions if you have them, which I'm sure you do. So it's going to be a lot of fun Saturday morning, so I hope to see you there. That is the forecast discussion for today. Again, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. You can follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter and Facebook. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.